Invite any children to join Miss Ann for Children's Chapel, and everyone else, please be seated. It's all about your playlist. This is what my aunt shared when we saw her on our recent trip to Arizona. My aunt is a runner and triathlon athlete. She does trail runs, road runs, mud runs, and she is consistently in training mode. She surveys the Phoenix weather for the upcoming week to see which day the air quality will be best for her to do her long run, the air quality, and in the summer months, which morning it's not going to be in the 90s by 8 a.m. As we talked to my aunt about her training and race schedule, Matt asked her about her motivation, about how she keeps going, how she sees it through at mile 8 and at mile 13, how she sees it through when her legs and lungs feel heavy, how she goes right back into her training once she's completed a race. Her answer was quick. It's all about your playlist. For my aunt, when the training gets tough, and the race seems too long, it's all about knowing which midwives of music to have queued up on the playlist. My aunt's favorite midwives are the Grateful Dead, which is somehow poetic. But Ripple, Friend of the Devil, Touch of Grey, these are the rhythms that reorient and refocus my aunt on the path. This playlist is the ritual that returns my aunt to herself. She listens to the notes, to the melodies, and she remembers her strength. She remembers her purpose, and she carries on to the next mile and the one after that. It's all about your playlist. The disciples in our gospel lesson today have a request of Jesus. Teach us how to pray, they say, because the disciples have been watching. They have seen the rhythm that Jesus keeps, the routines, the rituals, the way he makes space and time for holy listening. The disciples might not fully understand all that Jesus shares with them or follow his teachings perfectly, but one thing the disciples have learned is that prayer, intentional time with God in private and in community, is the rhythm of life with Jesus. Wake up in the morning, prayer. Moment of thanksgiving, prayer. Alone time in the mountains, prayer. Moment of temptation, prayer. Dealing with difficult people, prayer. When 2 or 3 are gathered, prayer. Always prayer. It's all about the playlist. Hitting repeat on the rhythms of prayer that bring us back to God and back to ourselves, so that we can keep going, keep moving, keep building, keep growing. And so the disciples want to know, what are the greatest hits in this rhythm of prayer? Teach us, Lord. And like the good rabbi that he is, Jesus teaches. Sometimes the rhythm of prayer is saying the prayers that we know by heart, the words that Jesus himself gives us, the ones that the disciples learned and that have been prayed by all the saints that have gone before us. Father, hallowed be your name. Give us today our daily bread. Other times, the rhythm of prayer is our own words and specific needs. Jesus shares the story of someone who makes a middle-of-the-night visit to a friend with a request for bread for yet another friend who has also arrived in the dark of night. The friend making the request must continue to knock and to plead because the friend receiving the request is already asleep and in bed and would just as soon not be disturbed. But because of the persistent ask, the friend finally rises from his slumber to give the pleading friend what they need. So prayer is supposed to be a steady rhythm, a persistent rhythm, a disciplined rhythm. Morning, prayer. Mealtime, prayer. Evening, prayer. Bedtime, prayer. Middle of the night, prayer. And then I love the detail Jesus includes right at the end of the story. The pleading friend receives whatever they need. The pleading friend has been specific and persistent. 3 loaves of bread is what I need for me and my other friend. 3 loaves. We don't know at the end of the story if the pleading friend receives 3 loaves. But we do know that they receive whatever they need. Maybe 2 loaves, and the assurance that 2 is enough, and that all will be well fed. Maybe enough for 12 baskets full of leftovers. But they receive whatever they need. Ask, search, knock. Jesus says that this is the rhythm of prayer. Ask, search, knock. This is the playlist of life with Jesus. Ask, search, knock. This is the playlist of followers of Jesus. Ask, search, knock. And trust that you will receive whatever you need. Last Sunday and then today and next, we will continue to have some conversation at the end of the service about a potential capital campaign here at Good Sam. You all have already responded to 2 surveys. One identifying the core values of this community: love, active caring, and servanthood. And a second survey imagining how different projects around our campus might respond to or align with our core values. We've already learned a lot as we discern as a community how best to steward the gift of this holy space and grounds. This space and grounds where we learn how to pray, where we teach our children how to pray, where the Holy Spirit continues to move and gather and teach all of us how to pray. And we will continue to discern together. Don't forget, though, it's all about the playlist. It's all about the rhythm, moving with God and towards God and always returning to who we are at our core. Lord, teach us. Where and how is this community being called into deeper love and to even more active caring? Where and how will this community model servanthood in new ways? Prayer is the rhythm of this discernment work. As we engage in these conversations, in this dreaming and surveying and consulting and imagining and listening, please, please add this work to your prayers. to your familiar prayers and to your specific prayers. Be persistent. Ask, search, knock. In the end, we will receive exactly what we need. And I would invite you to prayerfully sit back down.
Planet Earth, this island home, and we have the responsibility to care for it and to maintain it. And lately we have come to realize that our maintenance and our care has been a little lacking, and we must act quickly to rectify the damage. Perhaps it's even too late. Those who came before us gave us this church, our oasis home, and we have a responsibility to care for it and to maintain it. And we have undertaken this responsibility by a process. This is a process of determining who we are and where we need to go. There are many churches out there, and we have chosen to be a part of this church community instead of another. Why did we do that? What makes this community the one that we have chosen? In our process, we took a survey some time ago, and in this first survey, we determined what we are, who we are. We put it into words. These are our core values: loving, active caring, servanthood. That's who we are. Now, the next step is to determine where we want to go, how to maintain this building in a way that is in keeping with our core values. How do we prepare for the future and remain who we are? That's the step that we're in right now. And I want to emphasize to you that this is not a planning stage. This is an idea stage. This is a listening stage. And we are here to listen to your ideas of how to care for and maintain this church for the future while holding on to our core values, who we are. What can we do with the future?
As we began to hear about a capital campaign, my thoughts immediately went to the kitchen, and beyond the kitchen to Hensley Hall. As I began attending Good Sam, Cal's invitation for coffee and a chat at the peace led me to Hensley Hall. I quickly learned this is the heart of fellowship at Good Sam. The pre-COVID gatherings, Christian formation, Bible study, stewardship dinners, Christmas gatherings, family promise. And who can forget the chili supper and cook-off? I hasten to add that my Miss Tina's chicken chili never received any recognition at all. I'm just saying. So all this and much more, but then there's the carpet. One look at the carpet, you can tell that with a little bit of potting soil, you could grow stuff on the carpet. It's clear then that Hensley Hall is badly in need of renovation, if not repair. So maybe with a capital campaign, we could start with a new carpet, a paint job, and maybe upgrades to the audio-visual equipment. Great, let's do it. That's when I had to hit the pause button. I realized that I had decided what needed to happen rather than listening to what others thought. It is just not what Cal, Elizabeth, Freddie, or Vestry think needs to happen. Although I think we can be pretty certain what Freddie wants. But it's all about all of us as stakeholders, willing to listen and discern where Good Sam's core values of loving, active caring, and servanthood take us. For this to happen, we must listen and hear from each other. So as Zane said, we're not in a planning stage, but we are in the listening stage. So let's hear from each other. Thank you.
So we would invite questions, and I've got the handheld mic just so that everybody can hear the question that you have.
I mentioned this to Zane as I came in, but the parking lot that abuts the forest there, or the woods, there's no stop, and some of it, it's a deep, if you go past the pavement, you get into the woods there, and it would be hard if you have a low-slung car to get back up again. So this is a little thing, but I think we need stops along there so people know where to stop their car. That was my thought. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a safety issue, I think.
Add that to the dreaming and imagining. What about others? And I'll come back.
I don't think I need, I'm loud.
Okay.
I think about our young people and growing this church and the future of this church, and what families see and think when they come in and bring their children to Sunday school for the first time. I totally agree with the kitchen, not a kitchen I like cooking. And then Hensley Hall is like the living room of the church. But I also think about the playroom and the education room and the formation room, which is all downstairs, and it's easy for most adults not to see if you don't have an opportunity to go down there. So I would invite both the congregation as a whole and those planning to take a trip downstairs and think what you see, what you smell, what you feel. Is it going to make you want to get up on Sunday morning at 9 or 10 years old, or worse yet, 14 or 15 years old? Get up early and come and spend an hour down.
Thank you, Martha.
And I agree, and that is something that's in the next stage. That's the planning. We're right now trying to get ideas, and that's a great idea.
That was me, sorry. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. There we go.
I was just wondering about what the maintenance was that might be too late.
I hope there is none, but I don't know. One of our ideas is that we may have an evaluation of our property and see what it is that we need to have done. I know of a few things that, we are all the time having problems with our air conditioning. There are cracks in the wall from the foundation. I know of those things, but who knows what else there is.
I wonder about the accessibility of our outdoor chapel, and particularly as variants continue to come, the possibility of an upgraded outdoor space, perhaps in that back parking lot that is covered, that has perhaps fans, perhaps may even have, if not a kitchen that's usable, but a space that we could more fully have an outdoor experience, regardless of the weather, that is accessible to parishioners who have accessibility concerns. That to me is very important to me.
Thank you.
Oh, that's another great idea, because I didn't really understand or was aware of the outdoor chapel until we began holding services there during the COVID time. So that's a great idea and reflection.
I think I'm loud enough. Just a combination of those things about our children and our outdoor space, and the thought that it might be very welcoming to newcomers and to our existing families to have an outdoor play space for our children. Designated outdoor play space, not other
Yeah.
than just the.
I appreciate that in ways that you understand. Yes. 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 Any others? Ideas, questions, reflections?
Does everyone understand the process that we're in? Any questions about that? We've been in this process for a long time, and it's not something that we've just suddenly occurred to us to do. We've been working on it for a number of years, and we're to this point now, getting input to find out what we need to do.
I'd like to say that I appreciate the process, that it's not just a small group of people saying, we're gonna do a capital campaign and build that it is truly a community involvement.
We could have a capital campaign, but we want to do it in a spiritual way. We want to stay who we are.
Yeah, Nancy.
I hesitated to say this because it's somewhat self-serving, and it may have already been mentioned, but the choir needs new robes, and that's something to consider. The robes that we have are at least as old as this carpet, and if you get new carpet, we get new robes, please. And I haven't sung since the pandemic with the choir, but I look forward to singing with them again. But that's something to consider, because those things are very hot in the summer and very uncomfortable. So, just to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you all. Please, again, continue in your prayers. We will do that privately. We will do it corporately. But for the moment, go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.